How's it going, everybody? This is Josh coming to you from J.R.Heller and
Logan Chappell with J.R.Heller.
And today we're going to talk about the real estate market and whether or not right now in 2023 is a good time to buy real estate.
It's always a good time to buy, Josh.
Woo!
Just like your stocks and real estate, any asset is going to be a good time to buy at all times, as long as you have the means to buy. So that's the short answer.
Okay, we're done. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care, y'all.
Appreciate it. No, this is not a short. This is an actual video.
Yeah, no, I mean, realistically, if you have the means to buy, you should always be buying, especially if it's an investment property. If it's cash flowing, you're going to get the appreciation and or the depreciation for the tax benefit. Always a good time to buy if you have the means to.
And what would you say would be the differences for people like that are saying, well, I want to wait till the interest rates come down, or, there's still not enough in the market. Prices are too high still. The recession's coming. What would you say to that?
Time in the market will always beat timing the market.
Time in the market will always be timing the market. I like that. Elaborate on that one.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy a piece of real estate, you're probably going to hold on to it for a few years. Now, if you're looking to move out of the area or you don't know if you're going to stay here, I would probably recommend renting. If you're not going to be solidified for at least 5 years in your local market, I don't think there's really a sense in buying, unless you're buying for investment purposes. Forced appreciation, fix and flip, or a buy and hold. Great, that doesn't matter then at that point. Completely disregard what I'm saying. But if you're what we consider a retail buyer looking to purchase a home for living purposes as a primary residence, and you plan on staying there for 5 years or more, realistically, you're going to turn a profit on that property unless you don't take care of it and maintain it.
Right.
So that's where time in the market is going to beat timing the market. Yeah, prices are inflated right now. Yes, interest rates are high right now. And they're really not high. They're just higher than you're used to because we saw sub-3 rates just a year ago. But a 6% interest rate is not a bad interest rate by any means. That's the time in the market is going to beat out that rate and that property value that you're purchasing. The property value is going to increase. As you build equity, you can always refinance and get a lower rate. Even when purchasing, if you have enough cash, you can always buy down the rate or ask for some seller assist to get the rate bought down. So if you're hung up on this, I don't want to pay 6% interest, buy it down to 4%. There's always options, and that's why you always got to speak to a professional.
Yep, absolutely. And real estate is a long-term game.
Yep.
When people are talking about, recession, interest rates, all that jazz, price being overinflated, they're not thinking long-term. They're just looking and trying to find the best entry point. And a lot of times that entry point will never come, right? Because markets fluctuate as they do. But overall, if you look at the history of real estate and land ownership and, all hard assets like that, they go up in value, people. They do not go down in value over a 100-year period.
No, definitely not. And that's what I was alluding to with your stocks. I mean, when you buy blue chips, you know that is going to increase over time. There are companies that are solidified in the marketplace that, Google and Apple, you're going to be using Google and Apple for the next foreseeable future.
Well, and that's it. It's all an odd, right? It's statistics. What are the odds that Apple goes out of business tomorrow?
Very slim.
Would anybody make that bet? If I said, I'll bet you $1 million that Apple will not go out of business tomorrow.
I'm not taking that bet.
Right? So it's the same way in real estate, right? What is the bet that the value of your house as a whole, if you're going to be there for 10 years, what's the bet that you won't build equity over those 10 years?
I'm not taking that bet either.
You would be dumb to, right?
Yep.
So don't look at markets as, well, in 6 months it might be lower. Who cares about 6 months? Are you going to sell your house again in 6 months and take the profit? Is that what you care about? Building equity over 6 months? If that's the case, then yeah, don't buy because
Exactly.
That's not the move. But if you're looking to buy a primary residence, don't be worrying what's going to happen in the next year, 5, maybe 10. It depends on how long you plan on being there. But overall, your equity is going to go up. Like Logan said, with interest rates, you can always refinance down. You'll build equity, you refinance down, you can pull cash out. It's an investment vehicle, and it's the place that you lay your head down at night and where your family goes, right? So like, don't be so concerned with the next 6 months. It's just not it's something you should even be looking at. It's not even a metric.
At all. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, as far as the 6-month play, I mean, if you're an investor and you're looking for fix and flips, that's why you need to be very conservative with your numbers right now. Correct. Because of the uncertainty of the market. You know, last year when houses were flying off the shelves above ask price within 48 hours, that's not a normal marketplace, first off. And second off, yeah, you can be a little bit looser with your numbers because, hey, I'm buying here in 6 months, I'm going to get, $30,000 of equity? That's right. Not a normal marketplace. And you can't, as the new investors that came in a year ago, they're not really around anymore because they don't know what they're doing. They came in at a really good time. The investors that have been doing this for 5, 10, 15 years and have seen the ebb and flow of the market, especially the ones that have been around since '08, they actually understand how the marketplace works, and they know how to navigate through these uncertain times like now for the fix and flip investors.
Well, and they're loving right now because there's no competition now.
Exactly.
The only people that are left now are the people that actually know what they're doing.
Yep.
So it gets all of those people that are overbidding on properties out of the marketplace.
Yep.
It actually makes their job easier as long as they know their numbers.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I was going to say as far as the retail buyer goes. The person who's looking for a primary residence right now, I wouldn't consider it a buyer's market quite yet, but compared to what we saw last year, is definitely more in your favor. And these houses that are sitting on the market for 30 plus days, the sellers are still looking to sell. So if you bring them an offer that is, close to what they were looking to net, you might have some more negotiating power on not only purchase price, but as I alluded to earlier, maybe some seller assist. There's options now for you as the buyer, whereas, I'm waiting on rates to come down. Well, let's say next month rates drop back down to 3%. You think you're going to have any competition? Yeah. I mean, you're going to get outbid on every house because people don't care what they're paying for the house because they got locked in at a 3% interest rate. Yeah. It's basically free money.
Yep. Well, and that's, it's a great point to going back to, I'm going to wait till interest rates come down. So now you're trying to pinpoint the best time, and what you're doing is you're putting yourself in with a whole bunch of competition. Because what do you think everybody else is thinking? Yep. The same thing, right? So like you have to go almost against the crowd, go against the crazy news bubble that tells you, interest rates are crazy, blah, 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 blah. You have to think for yourself. Warren Buffett speaks on this tremendously, is that he basically goes against what conventional wisdom tells you, what everybody tells you should be doing. He listens to his own sound advice. He looks at it very mathematically and says, do I believe that this company is undervalued and that in the long term they will become more valuable, right? So you got to do the same thing in the real estate market and with your finances. When you're looking at your finances and you're deciding, where you should purchase a house, for how much, all of that good stuff, right? And speak with a professional as well. That's what their job is, to help you and guide you and answer any questions you might have on that. So.
Yeah. The sooner you can start building equity, the better. And even if that value does go down in 6 months, because nobody has a crystal ball, and if anybody's telling you the future, that's a major red flag, and don't be listening to them.
Yeah.
I'll speak and say all the time to my clients that I don't have a crystal ball. So in 6 months, I'm not going to be able to tell you the value of your home. But I guarantee in 5 to 10 years that property should be appreciated to some degree. Even if, we have, let's say, a major market dip in 4 or 5 years, and you're like, I thought in 5 years it was going to be worth more. All right, well, wait it out another year or two, you know? Unless you really need to move at that second, then you can wait it out, ride the storm out for another year or two.
Yeah.
But realistically, over time, your property will increase in value, and I can put my name on that.
Come to J.R.Heller. We have a crystal ball. Over 10 years, your property will appreciate in value.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't even picture a market in 10 years where if you bought today that your home hasn't appreciated, even if the market is in shambles in 10 years.
Exactly.
Because 10 years is so much time. You're supposed to, based on, the Fed and history, get 2.5% year over year. I don't think people understand how large 2.5% compound year over year is. I mean, that's huge for your property value.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, when you talk about compounding anything, at a certain point, you're actually doubling because of all the compound that has built up over time. So, I mean, how quickly should you have bought? You should have bought yesterday.
Yes, 100%.
That's the end. That's the end of the story. You can't win if you're not in the game. So.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not for everybody. I mean, the people who like to, there's a lot of, millionaire and billionaires out there on Instagram and Facebook saying, hey, I rent. The reason why they rent is because what they do for work, they're traveling all the time. Mm-hmm. They had the means to throw away a couple $1,000s a month and not blink an eye at it. So they don't care about building equity in a property that they live in per se, because they have rental properties, they have equity in their businesses. I mean, they're building equity in other ways. So they may not care about building equity in their primary.
Correct. They're not buying their primary, they're buying a whole bunch of investment properties. And so instead of paying a mortgage, they're getting tenants to pay the mortgage for them and build equity over time. And then even some of those, they still buy properties, but they're vacation homes.
Yeah, so if we're speaking to any millionaire and billionaires out there and you're listening to this, so we appreciate you taking the time to check us out.
Absolutely.
But realistically, if you are, working a 9 to 5 or you have a, degree that you're using, more than likely you're going to want to live around your work and you're going to want to build equity in that.
Absolutely.
If you travel for work, different story. Renting might be the best option for you.
Quit paying a landlord, man. Quit building the equity for somebody else. Build it for yourself and for your family.
Yeah.
I'm guarantee it's going to come in handy later down the road.
For sure. I mean, there are some people that I listen to online that will buy just one investment property, and that's the college fund.
Yeah.
Where, if their son or daughter chooses to go to college or a trade school, then they use that one property and the equity built in that over time. They don't even care about the cash flow. As long as they're breaking even on that every single month.
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm breaking even and I'm building equity the whole time on this rental property, and then hand that down to your son or daughter. Right there, 18 years of appreciation and equity built in it. I mean, you basically own the asset at that point. If not, you do own the asset. If you throw a couple extra dollars at it every single month, it's like, boom, right there you go.
Absolutely. No, real estate is an amazing investment vehicle. And, it like Logan said, it compounds. Your equity compounds over time. There's also major tax benefits from buying a house. Yep. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, guys. So stop worrying about whether now is the right time to buy. If you want to buy, start the process. Just go start looking, start getting numbers in place, reach out to us, and we can help you out. And,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we alluded to in our last video, too, about the mobiles. I mean, the reason why mobiles aren't a good asset is because the land is rented.
Correct.
The land is not yours. So the person who owns the land, that's why your lot rent will go up year over year, because of the appreciation of the value of the property.
You're buying the worst part of the real estate. You're buying the structure and not the land. Exactly. Yeah. Land does not deteriorate, and it only goes up in value because they're not making any more of it. A structure will deteriorate, which you can depreciate off the asset, which is great. But it also goes up in value, right? Your equity gets built over time. Take care of the thing, fix it when it needs fixed. But yeah, don't buy a structure that is basically a liability. So much so that you have to go through like the DMV to buy a mobile, because it's basically a car. You're basically living in a car. That's how the state sees it. And it goes down in value, and then you go park it on somebody's land that they own, and you're giving them money every month for your structure that goes down in value to sit on their land.
Yeah, I would almost say rent before buying
1,000%. Absolutely. And if you're gonna buy a mobile, but buy the land too, so that at least you can put the mobile on your own land that will go up in value.
Correct.
And it can offset some of the liability for the mobile itself. Yep. But the idea of going in and buying a mobile in a park and then renting the land from that park, you're basically a tenant that now has to do the repairs on your property as well. That makes absolutely no sense to me. That's
Yeah.
like, it's worse than actually just renting an apartment.
Exactly. Yeah, because tenants have rights then as well.
Absolutely.
So if your toilet's not working, or your shower's not working, or your heat's not working, the landlord is required to fix it by law.
Correct.
So.
And yeah, and he's the one, putting the money out for these things to take care of the asset. Whereas in a mobile, you're the one who's responsible for all your fixes and repairs on top of paying rent.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Time in the market over timing the market every single time, guys. If you're in a position to buy, contact a professional today so that way they can get you set up for success.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're getting any value from our videos, we would love it if you would subscribe. Just hit the like, leave a comment, let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. What do you think about mobiles personally? And what do you think about the current real estate market we're in, and where do you think it's going to go? Would love to hear your comments. So appreciate you guys watching.
Thanks, guys.